Okay, so let's jump right in. If you've ever been on mood stabilizing medication, it's amazing, right? It quiets that emotional storm inside. But then you're faced with this really weird new problem. Your old way of setting boundaries, the one that ran on anger and resentment, it's just gone. So what do you do? How do you protect your space when your internal alarm system has basically been switched off? And that is the big question, isn't it? It's that disorienting feeling when the hurt or the anger that always told you, hey, someone crossed a line, just isn't there anymore. I mean, it's a good thing. It means the medication is doing its job, but it leaves this huge, crucial gap in how you navigate, well, everything. All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the old way, what I call emotional walls. Then we'll talk about that big paradigm shift. After that, we'll get into the new way, rational fences. We'll even give you a new toolkit, talk about some challenges you might face, and wrap it all up with a really cool idea about cultivating your own garden. All right, so first up, let's talk about the old way, the stuff that's probably all too familiar. Before you found that stability, boundaries were pretty much just reactive, right? They were these defenses you threw up in the heat of the moment, usually as a direct response to getting hurt. And we can call this the emotional wall. Just picture it. Someone says something hurtful. You feel that surge of anger or pain, and bam, you throw up a wall. And what holds that wall together? Resentment. It's that sticky, lingering feeling that's constantly whispering in your ear, hey, you are wronged. Don't you dare let that happen again. But here's where it gets tricky. The big paradox. The medication is working. Those emotional hits, they just don't land with the same knockout punch. But in the quiet that follows, the resentment that was the fuel for those walls, it just evaporates. And you're left standing there in this newly calm field thinking, okay, what now? And that question changes everything. Because this isn't a loss, not at all. It's a major turning point. It's this incredible opportunity to build something new, something that's way more intentional and, frankly, sustainable. So that brings us to the new way. We're talking about shifting from those reactive walls to something we're going to call rational fences. And this is huge because it's about completely redefining what a boundary is for. It's not just a defense mechanism anymore, it's a proactive foundation for your life. Let's break down the difference because it's night and day. A wall, it's reactive. It's built on pure emotion and it's held together by that toxic superglue called resentment. A fence, though? Totally different. It's proactive, it's planned, it's based on your actual values, and it's maintained by discipline, not by anger. See, you don't build a fence in the middle of a battle. You build it during peacetime. It's a deliberate, thought-out structure that clearly defines your space. It's you saying, hey world, this is me, this is what I value, this is where my yard begins, and you're welcome to visit, but you gotta respect the property line. Okay, that all sounds great, right? But how you actually build these fences? Well, you're going to need a new set of tools. The old toolkit was all blunt instruments, outbursts, giving the silent treatment. This new one, it's all about precision. And we've got a simple 4-step framework for you. First, self-awareness. Then, value setting. Third is communication. And fourth is maintenance. It's a really straightforward process, and it all starts with learning to listen to yourself in a whole new way. So, step 1, self-awareness. This is all about becoming a kind of neutral observer of what's going on inside you. Since that loud fire alarm of anger is gone, you have to learn to listen for the quieter signals. For example, you might not feel insulted, but you can think to yourself, that statement was disrespectful. Or maybe you notice physical things like your jaw gets a little tight or your breath gets shallow. And here's a big one. That little voice in your head that says, I should be okay with this. Oh yeah, that is a huge red flag. Okay, step 2 is where the rubber really meets the road. You take your big, abstract values and you translate them into concrete, real-world rules. So if you value, say, respect for your time, your rule becomes, I do not answer work emails after 6 p.m., period. If you value emotional integrity, your rule might be, I will not be the designated dumping ground for everyone's negativity. See? This is how you make your values actually mean something. Now for step 3, communication. And honestly, this is where your new stability becomes a legitimate superpower, because now you can communicate your boundaries without all the emotional baggage. Instead of yelling, you're always dumping your problems on me, you can calmly say something like, I really value our talks, but for my own energy, I need us to make space for lighter subjects too. You're not attacking them, you're just taking care of yourself. And finally, step 4, maintenance.
This is so important. Maintenance isn't about holding a grudge anymore. It's an active, ongoing process. You do things like preemptively turn off your work notifications. You practice saying no to small, low-stakes things just to build up that no muscle. And you create clear, calm consequences. Because let's be real, a boundary without a consequence, it's just a friendly suggestion. Okay, but this whole new way of being, it doesn't happen in a vacuum, right? It can actually create some interesting new challenges in your relationships. Because, well, not everyone is going to be used to this new, stable you. And here's a really common one. What happens when other people mistake your newfound calm for indifference? Maybe a partner or a friend is just so used to your emotional reactions that they might even try to, poke the bear a little bit, just to get a rise out of you. They can easily mistake your stability for you not caring anymore.
So, how do you handle that? Well, you have to have a meta conversation about it. You literally explain the change. Tell them, hey, my calm doesn't mean I don't care. It actually means I care enough to address things without all the chaos. You also have to be prepared. Some relationships that were built on shared drama, they might just fade away. And that's okay. And one last thing, remember that even the best fence has a gate. You need to know when to be flexible. Don't become a boundary tyrant.
All right, this brings us to our last section, and it's a really beautiful shift in perspective. When you're not spending all your energy just defending yourself, you get to ask a much bigger question. Who are you without the storm? What do you want to build in all this newfound peace? Just think about it for a second. Before, life was like living in a castle under constant siege. It was dark, it was defensive, everything was defined by the threat of what was outside the walls. Your whole existence was just about survival. But now with your rational fences and your stable mood, the siege is over. The storm has passed. You can finally step outside the fortress. You've gone from living in a castle to tending a garden. It's a space where you get to decide what grows. And that is the ultimate shift in who you are. You're not the one being besieged anymore. You are the gardener. You're no longer the passive victim reacting to attacks. You are the active creator who gets to choose what to plant, what to nurture, and what to weed out. So remember that withering away of resentment, it's not you losing a protective shield. It's you finally clearing away a toxic weed that was choking out everything good. Your new stability isn't a boring flatline. It's the warm, consistent sunlight your garden has been waiting for. So we'll leave you with this final thought. In this calm, steady light, with your space so clearly and peacefully defined, you're finally free. The real question is, what will you choose to grow?